Hi guys, and welcome back to the Fungi Files. Today we're kicking off an experiment that just might be impossible, and that's exactly why I'm attempting it. This is Amanita Muscaria from Inoculate the World. And we're going to try something that most people think can't be done, cultivating this beautiful fairy tale mushroom indoors. What's so special about this mushroom? Why am I even attempting it? And how could this experiment even be beneficial to the mycology community? Let's get into it. This is Amanita Muscaria, the iconic red mushroom with white spots that pops up everywhere from video games to fairy tales. It's psychoactive, though it needs to undergo a special process to make it safe to consume. When raw, this mushroom contains ibotenic acid, which is technically toxic to us, though it needs special treatment to be consumed safely. This mushroom is beautiful and mysterious, although it's incredibly challenging to grow this in a controlled environment. What's even more interesting, though, is Amanita Muscaria doesn't just grow anywhere. It's a mycorrhizal fungi, which means it forms a relationship with tree roots. This symbiotic relationship is incredibly complex, and that's where things get tricky. So why am I even attempting this? For one, it's the thrill of the challenge. Cultivating Amanita Muscaria indoors can help us better understand its biology and open new doors in mycology. Imagine if we could reliably cultivate this mushroom indoors without the need for a forest setup. That would be groundbreaking for studying mycorrhizal fungi. There are some mycologist groups out there or businesses that have successfully started the cultivation of morel mushrooms, which is a very famous, tasty mushroom, but is also a mycorrhizal fungi, similar to Amanita Muscaria. They have achieved this with using some sort of grass and potentially a third organism or some other form of supplementation to help these fungi grow. But there's something that might help give us an edge. MHB, or Mycorrhizal Helper Bacteria. These beneficial bacteria help mushrooms grow by increasing their nutrient uptake and helping their mycelium form around the roots. But here's the catch. We still don't fully understand the relationship between MHB, the tree roots, and the fungi itself. So adding a form of MHB may be beneficial to the setup to help us cultivate it. But until we try it, it's still just a mystery to be solved. In my research binder, I have multiple papers going over the interaction of MHB with different plants and fungi. Here's a good diagram of the MHB that surround the tree roots and exchange nutrients between the mycelium and the plant. If we succeed in this project, we could be helping others in the mycology community take steps towards cultivating these challenging species and exploring the biology of mycorrhizal fungi in ways that we couldn't before. Even if we don't get perfect results, we're learning, and that's worth it to me. And who knows, maybe one day this research could even help us cultivate other elusive mushrooms. So let's take the first steps together and see where it leads. Now let's get down to business. We're going to be starting this project by inoculating some agar as well as some liquid culture. We will be inoculating these with our multi-spore syringe from Inoculate the World of Amanita Muscaria. I am going to grab a napkin as there is some condensation buildup on these lids, so I have them stored upside down. I'm going to check them for contamination. They're all looking fantastic. Now I am going to spray this rag down with isopropyl alcohol, and I will be flipping the lids right side up on it to dry off that condensation. The needle tip I have is still in the package, so it is perfectly sterile. We are going to tip this down. Just in case there are any contaminants floating, we wouldn't want them to land inside of the syringe tip. Get that screwed on tight, and we are set to inoculate. I'm going to start by prepping all of my agar dishes. And now I'm just trying to tap any of that moisture that I can off. It's not a huge deal to have it in there, but ideally we want to remove as much of it as we can. Beautiful. I am going to sanitize my hands just because I did get some of that liquid on there, just in case. Now we are ready for our transfers. I'll start by lining these all up. And we want to reduce the total amount of time in air. Let's go ahead and open up our needle, which is sterile. And similarly to how we've done this previously, with just, oops, that was way too much. Just a few drops. In each of these. And now we can inoculate our liquid culture. Now this needle can be sterilized and stored for future use. Now, inoculating these plates was only the beginning of our journey, but it's not just about waiting for this mycelium to grow. Even if we do see growth on these agar, it's only the start of much bigger challenges. We're talking about a mushroom that usually has a full forest worth of tree roots to work with, but here we're trying to replicate that indoors without any of the natural setup. But hey, we're gonna aim high. Why not aim for the impossible? Let's be clear about why this is such a unique and interesting challenge. Amanita Muscaria relies on a unique relationship with tree roots to exchange nutrients. This is really hard to replicate without a natural forest setting. In the wild, these mushrooms form symbiotic relationships, which help share nutrients and environmental signals. That's where MHB come in too, helping facilitate those connections. Without that whole system, we're essentially trying to replicate a miniature forest in the lab. That's essentially like asking a fish to live in a birdcage. But that's why I'm excited to take this on, because even trying gives valuable information to us in the mycology community. And who knows, we might just learn something new about how these mushrooms grow. So that's our first step in the adventure, inoculating spores to liquid culture and agar, but that's only one of many. Will we succeed? Most likely. Growing the mycelium on agar is about going to be the easiest step of this whole process. But this journey is all about discovery. Make sure to hit the bell and subscribe to follow along. This is going to be one wild ride. See you next time, fellow fungi fanatics.